Guys, it's number 4. Ooh, ooh, ooh. We did it. We rebalanced. Check. We could say we checked. Okay, so this is the last session of Rebalance. Congratulations, you did it. So let me share my screen. We'll get into the course. Okay, you know the course by now. If you don't, this is what it will look like if you're doing it just by email or what have you. Um, so we are in the last week, building accountability and support. Okay, so let's do a little review because learning does take some review. But first, this is a fun accountability group, so you might want to notice how my glasses match my shirt. What do you think? 10 out of 10? We were at a birthday party and they gave out crazy glasses. Aren't they fun? Okay. And then also, of course, we have our bubbles. Why? Why have we've been talking about fun and rebalancing this whole time? So beautiful. Remember, brains like this, it's landing all over my desk. And on my lips. Brains like round objects, and we're taking a deep breath. So that is really great brain activity. So if you're just like, I don't have time for any of this, 30 cents at the store, 30 cents, just have it, keep it at your house or keep it in your desk and just 3 times a day at work, just take it out one time, one little bubble blow, and you're kind of resetting. It's like delight, right? I love the word delight. And I love to use Brain Fresh and neuroscience protocols to find delight. What an easy answer. 30 cents, right? You got it. Bring it to, put it all over your house. What the heck? It didn't cause too much troubles over here. Everything popped. It was on the wire for a while, but it's good. Okay. So here we are. So we are reviewing. So this is week 4. We are recording. Yes. Let's just double check we're recording. Here. Ooh. Yes, we are recording. Awesome. Okay. Oh my gosh. Hey, good morning. You got to see this. Ta-da! We are, just having a little fun. Because why? Because life is too short not to, right? Good morning. How are you? I may not hear you. Oh, you're on mute. If you're talking, you're on mute. If you want to talk, you're welcome to. It's good to see you. You waking up? Is it early? I don't know where you are.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yes,
What's your location?
I'm in Rochester, New York.
Oh, Rochester. Okay, good. So you're east. It's
Yeah.
not like 5 in the morning for you or
Oh, no,
something.
no. Still.
Good. Okay. Oh, yeah. Actually, my headphones aren't working. Let me get them on. That's great. All right. So we will go ahead and it's our last week. So how you doing over there? Any check-ins? You want to share any learnings? Any insights? Are you feeling like sharing? Or do you need your coffee first? Coffee's highly
I
encouraged.
probably just need my coffee first, though.
Right. 100%. And we were just doing the bubbles. So, I love the bubbles because they're like a 30 cents answer. We'll do it one more time for you as you're getting your coffee. Here, why do we do bubbles? Remember? Well, first of all, brains love round things. Round is safe, so when we like look at environment, we also always have to make sure that we have round objects around us because it's safe. Like I have one of my lamps on my desk is a rounded shade. And it's a non-threatening shape for us. And also with bubbles, we're taking that breath, we're just taking a minute and we're just being a little silly, which is great because brains need to kind of reset and rebalance. That's the whole point of our rebalance. And so, we need that. We need that for today. We need that in each day. And so little breaks, I like to call them nano breaks throughout our day. A lot of times we just need a little reset. Let me see if I could get I'm gonna minimize this for a minute. Yeah. Because I think what's happening is okay. I don't think over here. There we go. All right. So let's go here. Okay. I was just double checking because I don't think my headphones are working. Can you hear me okay, Boo? Got me all right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Okay, well, I'll keep mine just in case they were doing something. All right, so we're reviewing. So this is the fourth week out of four. And number one, the first week, let me get my papers. The first week, we went over dreams. We took some time to dream, just take a deep breath, to pause, to think like, where do we want to go? Like, what's important to us? Where are we headed? All the, business literature and neuroscience of career development suggests, we have to be honest about where are we today and where do we want to go? And then, one book I thought said it in a great way that I like to also share is, we think of our steps as like little post-it notes, like we're here, we want to go here. So what are the little post-it notes? Like one thing we can put on each post-it note to get closer to what we would say is our dream or envision our, is it our best job, our best career job, or is it something in life we're after? Is it kind of the whole picture? I would a lot of times just kind of knock on a lot of my friends' doors and be, like my senior docs' doors as I was in certain life phases, like, how do you do it? And by it, I meant like the whole thing. Like, how do you stay fit? How do you eat well? How do you take care of the kids? How do you also have a job? Like, how do you do the whole package and stay well, right? So this is what one of the reasons I built Brain Fresh is I wanted to find almost a protocol for sustainable well-being and that is filled with joy and delight and that really taps into what we're made to do. So how do we find our own strengths, our own joy, our own meaning? Because otherwise I felt a lot of times I was just getting on other people's escalators and that was their job and their meaning and their joy and I was just following along. So I built BrainFresh so people could come into different scenarios and learn about themselves, what's important to them, what are their values, what are their strengths, what are their dreams, and then how can we get you on a path, on your unique path of joy. And one of the things is I dove into the business literature and career development literature and neuroscience literature is we really need a growth team and we need to honor that we need to stop and pause and have fun once in a while. Now, a lot of folks, they'll say like, hey, I'm on vacation and I get all these great ideas. Well, I think we could put almost that mini nano break of vacation, that feeling of like getting away and not having a lot on our minds and eating well and sleeping well. Like, why do we have to wait till vacation to put all that into our lives? Why don't we pause? So that's what we did in week one in this rebalance as we thought of our dreams. Where do we want to go? What is important to us? So we have those value worksheets. And so, this is the last session of rebalance. So I would encourage you to print out this area here under resource has the handouts, or if you click into each week, this is week 1, 2, 3, 4 is where we are here today, building accountability and support, because we want to make this last, right? We're like doing something and learning something, for a few weeks is great, but how do we sustain it in our lives? That's another reason why I also have a group called WAG. So it's a Women Doc Accountability Group because I had trouble personally like finding safe people to grow with, like to be really honest about where I was and what I was dreaming of and what I wanted. Because work is busy and fast. It's hard to make like deep relationships with people where I knew I could trust them to say like, oh no, I'm just looking for more. I like to have more art in my life, or I wanted to have more joy in my life. I wanted to find what I was good at, what felt good. And I wasn't even sure because I was on like someone else's escalator. So building that support and accountability, we talk about today, and I do that over 8 weeks in I like to call them a WAG group. My dog is Leo, who's right here. And every time I see him, he wags. And I think WAG is a great just term. Like, there can be joy in professional development, being intentional about our next steps. So week one, we talked about dreaming. We talked about our values. So if you haven't had time to, do the value workshop, go back into Dream, Values, and Purpose Week, click on that week, and then you'll see the worksheets here and some videos to kind of walk you through it. And then if you click down here on the resources, you'll also see that there's handouts there. So the handouts are in each week, 1, 2, 3, 4 here. And I would print them if you want to have them because the access to this closes, I think, in like 10 days. So you have like a week and a half to print them out. Depends kind of when you came in. So week one, dreams, values, and purpose. And if you didn't do the purpose exercise, I'd really highly encourage you to do it. So if you want to do it together, now we can do it together. You can put it in the chat if you're so willing. Um, it's nice to take some time. Hopefully you got your coffee. I got mine. It's one of my favorite mugs because it has my kid's like, what do you want for Christmas? And one of my daughter, Sophia. And I said, I would love a mug with just pictures from the year. So this is 2022. She put pictures of us, my husband, and big groups and our extended family and things we did over the year, which is just so fun. So that's my coffee mug. But when we think about our purpose, we think about, I think the best way I've ever seen it described is from a YouTube video that it's a TED Talk actually. And the gentleman, and I have the resource in here, but really the question is, how do people feel after they work with us? So as when I'm in my doctor role, how do people feel? I hope they feel informed, calmer. I like to think peace of mind. So I like to connect people with resources to provide peace of mind because personally, when I feel peaceful, I get better ideas. I feel like I can live fully in my strength. I feel like I can help my community, but I'm not peaceful. I'm not very useful in my community. And I like to get to that state, like peace of mind state. So knowing your purpose, that I thought that was a wonderful way to figure out your life purpose. And he said that, he gave a story that he was at a reunion and, he went to Yale and there was all these people with high, big jobs and big titles, and they just didn't even know, they didn't have meaning in their work. And he did have meaning because he was in theater, he did a lot of different things and nonprofits, and he knew his purpose and he could perform that purpose in different roles. I thought that was a really interesting way to think of your life purpose. So at the very minimum, think about how people feel after they work with you. What comes to mind? If you want to put it in the chat, I'm glad to listen, because then that is your life purpose. Your life purpose is to help people feel blank. And I hopefully like to provide resources to give people peace of mind, because I feel like when we're at that state, we can live fully. And I feel like this world needs people living fully, like understanding their mind so that they can live fully in their gifts and strengths. Okay, so that was week one. So week one was dreams, values, and purpose so that we could find focus and meaning. And then week two, we talked about the power of distraction. So when we're distracted, all the literature suggests we're unhappy. So we talked in week two, and go ahead and click on that area, here it is over here, overcoming distractions, and print out those handouts because we could do a distraction audit. Where are we letting people in? Like I said, my story about that is I think about that as like if I opened every door and window of my house and people could just come in at me all the time. How could I get anything done? How could I know what I'm feeling? How could I dictate my day? How could I be intentional about my day? Because instead, everyone's coming at me and they're deciding my day. So when we just open all these channels to us, to our time and focus, we're just diluting our ability to live in our joy and our meaning. Okay, so that was week two, super important because that really blew things up for me. That was really important and powerful for me to learn that when we're distracted, we're unhappy. Week three was embracing fun and play. Again, these silly glasses. It's okay to be a little silly, right? It's okay. Why? Because feeling delight or just, having wonder in life, just knowing we don't know everything, that we can be a little loose and silly and lighthearted, that's okay to be that way. And then week four, which is where we are now. So building accountability and support. So let's dive into that. So we did our review. And if you want to give a little, where are you with this? If you want to put it in the chat, which week did you find the most meaningful for you so far? Was it the dreams, value, and purpose? Was it overcoming distractions? Was it embracing fun and play? If you want to put it in the chat, what was most meaningful to you so far? And if you're not on, you're watching this recorded, feel free to email me at thebrainfresh@gmail.com and let me know which week so far was most meaningful to you. It made you just really kind of slow down and think about things. Okay, so now we're going to move on to here, building accountability and support. So we're on the last week. So number one, we're going to start with this handout, which is accountability. It starts with ourselves. So really accountability, sometimes I think of accountability as what other, checking in with other people, but really it's to ourselves. Oh, I love it. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Embracing fun and joy was your most. Yeah, I agree. It's hard, right? Like I think the message in this world is work, work, work. Nose down, get your work done. And then when you have time, maybe think about having some fun. But really the neuroscience of it suggests like flipping that on its head is to put in the fun and play so that we can work productively and we can find meaning in work and we can connect with others because otherwise we are not at our best neuroscience state. And I do love that. And I think that needs to be said again and again and again because that is not the message in society. That is not culturally the message. Culturally the message is work hard. So I agree with you. That's a hard one, and I think we have to, just keep building on it. So let's and we can be accountable to each other. Feel free to email me at thebrainfresh@gmail.com once in a while and just like, hey, this is what I did this week. This is the fun thing I'm going to do this week. I'm glad to do that because I think that's really fun. Or if you're like, hey, I need to have something, I check in once a month with this group and we just need to share resources, let's do it. We can think about that, just kind of doing a long term. I think that's important. Okay, so we're going to start with sharing our goals because when we build an accountability team, this is what I do in my WAG. We keep it small so it's safe because we know we need to feel safe in our group. And it's scary. It's scary but powerful to share our goals with other people. But the literature suggests that if we say our goals out loud to other people, we are 70%, 70% more likely to achieve them. So that's why we want to do this as a group in a safe place. Because again, I personally found that I was working so hard in medicine and moving so fast and raising 4 kids that it was hard for me to find a safe place. To have those deep conversations with people. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I love it. Sounds good. What do you think? What do you think about a safe place? Is there somewhere that you feel safe chatting with other people? Like, do you have deep friends or an accountability group now, if we want to put yes or no? I mean, honestly, I didn't. But I would keep talking to people, mostly probably when there was a problem to reach out to people rather than putting this into place regularly. So that's why I built my WAG group and this because I do find when I commit to something, and especially if I pay money for something, then I value it a little bit more. And I'm like, oh, I got to get this done because I actually did. I did pay money for this darn thing. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Yeah. So I think, just, helping ourselves be accountable and building that team. And I love that Dr. Boyatsis is one of the docs. He's in Cleveland, Ohio. He teaches at the MBA school there, which is called Weatherhead. And he talks about having about 5 people on your accountability team. And it's okay to say, I don't have this now. I don't have this, but I will build this. Because we know that in order for a human to go from where we are to where we want to go, if we build that accountability team to just support us along the way, we are dramatically more likely to reach our goals, to get more to that what we would say what we've envisioned as our optimal state. And so, like any goal, we want to make sure that number one, we took time to just dream big because sometimes we think, well, it would be great if I just found a job where it was just okay. Well, come on, can we think a little bigger? What about a job you felt valued and that you really loved the majority of your day and your work and you found it really meaningful and you felt like you were having an impact? What if we keep having bigger and bigger ideas of where we want to go? So the accountability group can help us to number one, feel safe because that is so important. So you want to reach out to like-minded peers that will be honest with you and that will actually give you feedback and will provide resources. And maybe you put some people in that group that are a couple steps ahead of you from where you are today. And maybe some that are just right there with you. So depending where you're trying to go, you would put certain people on your accountability group. Like me, I'm building this business called Brain Fresh, and I've been doing that for the last 5 years. And so I have put myself into coaching groups and meetings and accountability groups and peer groups, just one-on-ones. So I have put myself around people that are also doing the same thing. And even a lot of times people who are way ahead of me or a few steps ahead of me, so I can keep having support in my learning. It doesn't always feel good, right? Because I'm the newbie a lot of times. If someone's way ahead of me, someone has a $3 million business and they've already figured out and they have a huge team and they have already all this infrastructure. Well, I'm not there, but if I have people around me that are helping me to build Brain Fresh and give me ideas, all the better, right? So a first step is to identify like-minded peers and consider a group of about 5 people on your accountability group. If you need a place to start, join our WAG group. It's starting in October. Again, and again, I keep that group small. That group is 8 weeks where we meet and we do this in real detail, set our goals, dream, and then set our steps, and then have weekly check-ins, so that we can share our goals and then iterate, and support each other and share resources and what's helped us because we're all on this journey learning. So in this group, you want to, number one, identify like-minded peers, set clear objectives. We know that about SMART goals. We want to set regular meetings, create that supportive environment, and utilize technology to make it easier. If you guys have a Google Drive or however you set it so you know where the resources are and how to share information. Okay, so those are your first few steps. Which one sounds like it'll be the hardest in this checklist? Will it be identifying like-minded peers, setting the objectives, getting the meetings on the calendar, creating that environment? Which one sounds like it might be the hardest? What do you think? Technology sometimes, just getting it all in place. I'm not really like a secretarial kind of person. Do any of these sound harder than the others? Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's hard to make the meetings, depends on your schedule. I really like when meetings are like this, like you can join live and you can be here in person, but it's also recorded. So that you can catch it, if something came up, like if you're traveling or work went long or you're just exhausted, it wasn't a great time for you to learn. We know here at Brain Fresh that in order to soak in new information, we need to put our brain first. We need to prime it, so that we know that we've had fun. So we're in a good state to soak in new information. We know hopefully we've moved our bodies, we've had good sleep, we have good nutrition, we have safe people around us, we have renewing connection. So there's a lot of things that have to happen before we can actually learn, right? And I think that's really important to talk about now, especially with school starting, is we need to make sure we keep reinforcing that the brain needs certain things before it can soak in information. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think that's all very challenging. But it can be done. We did it here with Rebalance. We do it in our WAG group. Okay, so the next handout is called, sharing is caring. So sharing our wins and our losses matters, because that builds support and trust. So it's very hard to get to a deep level of trust with people, that we don't know well. We're not sure what their motivation is. We don't know who they're going to tell. And so if you're in a growth group, it's a vulnerable situation, right? And so a lot of emotions come up. So things to put into place is like, these are the rules of this group. We're only supportive. And this is what we do here in Brain Fresh, right? We're only supportive. We're only kind. We're only compassionate. We are not judging. There's no judgment. Everybody has come from certain places. Everybody has certain things going on in their lives. There's a lot of emotions when we're new at something. This, like even joining this group was vulnerable because you were saying like, I want something. I don't have something I want. And that's vulnerable. It puts you in a vulnerable spot, right? And it's easier to just go on life and say, well, everyone seems to have everything in place, but I don't. And so I'm just gonna, just be sad about that. Like we could stay in that spot. Like, cause I've been there, where I think like, "Ugh, I wish things were different, but I don't know the step to take to get out of this wish." And in Brain Fresh, I try to make it clear. Here's the steps that really matter to me that help me kind of like dig out of this, like, I don't know, I'm just stuck and I'm not sure what everybody else is doing, but I think everybody else has the answer, which of course is not the truth. So When you start an accountability group, like we did here, we set the tone, like these are our values of the group. At Brain Fresh, we are kind, compassionate, supportive. We are not judgmental. We provide resources. We provide a safe place to share. And then we allocate time for sharing. We want to make sure everybody has their time to give their 2 cents. We give a structured format. So, you're coming in to these sessions. We're going to review what we did. Why do I keep reviewing everything? Well, that's how we learn, right? We have to keep going back over things. I could tell you everything one time, but it doesn't stick, right? And so we have to keep talking about things so that we can make it part of our lives. And we talk about when it doesn't go well. Like, I forgot, like, no, maybe you said, like, I didn't do the value workshop. I didn't do the purpose workshop. Fine. I'm telling you, you have access to all of this for at least another 10 days. So jump in or at least print it out and put some time in your calendar or just say, like, I didn't get to it. I'm just going to join you in that October group because we're a little more detailed in that group because we have 8 weeks to really jump into things. And we have 10 sessions in those 8 weeks. And so we do get a little deeper into things. Okay. So when you're starting, if you're going to do this with your own group, you're going to set the tone for openness, curiosity, delight, where it's not a judgment time. Okay. We're going to acknowledge that there will be feelings and you're welcome to say, I feel. But we're not going to put our feelings on anyone else. You're welcome to lay down your feelings, but we don't have to pick them up, right? We learn that in coaching that, and we learn that as doctors, right? That people can share their feelings. We have to name them, but I don't have to fix them. Because in my work as a neuroimmunologist, there's a lot of feelings. People are very sad, scared, frustrated, angry, a lot of things, right? Okay. And then we use a structured format so that people know exactly what to expect, because that helps anxiety. When we don't know what's going to happen, it causes us to have anxiety. We can't focus. It's not our best focus state. So to put our brain in a green light, all is green. It's like a light bulb. If we want to turn the light bulb all the way up, we want to do everything we can to get rid of anxiety, the uncertain part of things. Okay. We want to say we are going to provide feedback and it's going to only be constructive. And it will look like this. And maybe you even give a phrase. This is the phrase I'm going to use. Okay. That we do that in an accountability group. And then we want to document progress, keep a shared journal. What were your goals? Here's where we are today. Here's where we are a month later, a week later. We have tight goals because there's a great book called The 12-Week Year. And it reminded us that when we set goals for a year, they get very fuzzy, right? They get very far away. So out of these 5 things, which one sounds like the most important if you're setting up your own accountability group? Which one would be most important for you and the group to really set in place? What do you think? Go ahead, put that in the chat. Would it be setting the tone so that people are just open and not judgmental? Would it be allocating your time for sharing, just to tell people like everybody has a minute or 2 minutes? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, I've seen groups get taken over by people, right? So in these kind of groups, when you're going to have 5 people meeting regularly, this is what we do in WAG, is that it will be timed. Everybody gets a minute to share. So that, one person doesn't, just take over and you get to the end of the meeting and like, I didn't even get to talk. That's why I like it to be a smaller group, so that everybody has time, So that also helps the anxiety. It's like people will dominate groups. There's some people that just will. And this, we would say, like, these are the rules, we're going to set the tone, we're going to have time. Yeah. And everyone gets a couple minutes. Yeah. Good. Okay, so those are the rules. If you're going to set up your own accountability group, this is absolutely what we do in WAG, for sure, 100%. Yeah, so let's go to the next one. And then, here we are. Like, are we going to, raise our hand and say, we commit to fun and playfulness here, from Rebalance? Why does it matter? Well, the more we learn about the neuroscience, the more we learn that this is important, like you said, like you put in the comments. Um, we really need to honor this. Like this is our brain needs to go on focus time, get our work time, but also this play time, relax time, recharge time, rebalance time, and even just daydreaming time. I just saw a great TED talk about just the power of daydreaming. And we don't let ourselves do that a lot these days because we have headphones on and we're always charged, we're always listening. So we don't give our brain just a lot of time just to be open and to, just daydream. And because that daydreaming time is time when the brain is connecting things. So yeah, I mean, do you think, yeah, out of all of these, how can we foster commitment to this caring, this compassion, a safe place for fun and playfulness? Like, do you think we need a level 2 of this? Like, do we have to keep going with this focus? If there was a level 2, would you join? Would you want it once a week? What would you like at level 2 of Rebalance? What would be important to you if there was a level 2? If we kept meeting and talking about this, what would you want to see in that group? What do you think? What do you think? I guess the questions are this. Would you want a level 2 of Rebalance? Yeah. And what would be important that it was there? More? Yeah. Yeah, accountability. Okay, good. Well, yeah, then you can join the sustainability. I agree with you. Yeah, that is the hard thing, the sustainability, the accountability. And that's why we created the WAG. So honestly, so I had a WAG. I've had two WAG groups already this year. So I had a spring one and a summer one. And I have people joining every time because um, I have a person who keeps rejoining, because she was like, I love that structure. I love that, it works. And she created something really cool. She created a workbook for docs because she has a podcast and this is Sapna Shahak. She just had me on her podcast to talk about the WAG group. But I could say that because she talks about us on that group. I don't, otherwise I also honor privacy in our WAG group. So I don't tell people who comes into the WAG group unless they share it publicly, but she shares it publicly. Because I think that's really important to me that if I'm growing, I'm trying to learn something. I don't want to go out and tell everybody what's important to me. I want to make sure that that it's private. Yeah. Did you see it? Yeah. What'd you think? Do you like the podcast? Yeah, I was so honored to chat with her because she does amazing work. Yeah, oh thanks. Yeah. She talks about a friend of hers, like if you listen to her podcast, she talks about a friend of hers that completed suicide, and it was a good friend of hers, and she talks about this on the podcast, so I could share it. And it was so she built she obviously took care of herself, and she talks about that too. But she wants to remind docs to keep our humanity, to keep our full humanity, and I think that's really neat. That's the focus of her podcast. So she built a workbook for that, which I think is really neat. Yeah, but I agree with you 100%. The sustainability of this, like I think we can do anything for a week or two or three or four, but how do we sustain it? And so, yeah, I'm glad to do a check-in once a month. If you want to join, we could do a check-in group, or maybe it's the WAG group in October. I could send you some info. You think about joining that, because that we dive into it a little bit so we can instill it into our habits, because when we build a habit, we have to just keep doing it and doing it till it's part of our daily process. And it is hard because there are a lot of distractions in the world. And so it is harder to keep up with it. Okay, so again, these are the things we want to this checklist to keep it part of our life, to keep accountability and our group safe. Because I don't think if people don't feel safe or that they're listened to or they're valued, they're not going to stay, right? And I won't stay somewhere that I don't feel valued or heard, or I don't feel that people are kind or supportive. I mean, why would I stay there? That's not going to be neuroscience wise, that's not going to be a great learning space for me because I'm not going to feel psychologically safe, right? And if I'm not feeling safe, it's not my great thinking time. So I always like to remind people that psychological safety has to be there. And as a team lead, we have to make that happen. We have to be really clear about what the space includes. So I think that's important. Yeah. Okay. So what's one thing you're going to continue from this rebalance? What do you think? One thing you commit to that you learned here in rebalance? What do you think? What do you think? And we'll go down here. Whoops, get down. Whoop. Da-da-da-da-da. I love it. Setting time. Yep. I agree. I mean, I would always take like, I noticed we were new, my husband and I were new empty nesters. So we used to be like dominated by the kids' schedule. When the kids left and all went to college and grew up, then I was like, I need to know that there's something fun every weekend. And so I needed like by a Wednesday, I decided I heard this somewhere. I don't know. Somebody said they, intentionally make sure it's in their schedule. So by Wednesday, I want to make sure something fun is on our schedule for the weekend. So I have something to look forward to. I know it's done. So that's how I did it, how I operationalized it. I also find it's fun for me to kind of hang out with friends and whether it is meeting them for exercise or a walk or something. And so that I find it fun to connect with people, through exercise or a walk. And then I also like to tap into art to do crafts and stuff. So sometimes I do that with other people. Um, so I love that. You're going to keep doing that. That's wonderful. That makes my heart sing that you're going to do that. Okay. Is there any way I can support you in that? Is there any way that I can help you with that sustainability? Feel free to put it in the chat. I'm in trouble getting this down here. Go. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, let's do a check-in. Yeah, we can figure out what that looks like. Yeah, I think that would be fun. I'd love to get to know you more. I know they're great, but I know people are busy and they can't come in person all the time. But yeah, we could think about a check-in. I love it. Give myself a note so we can do that. Okay, so in conclusion, we had these 4 sessions. Let me see. So that would be my honor. I love it. Yeah, no, I think this is a great thing about this. I meet new people, I can hear how things are going for you. So just know that you have access to this stuff. Print out anything that you find helpful. We talked about the importance of realizing what our values and our purpose so that we can live in that for our own focus and our meaning in this world, and how to overcome distractions, how to block things out, how to embrace fun and play and keep going. And then this week we talked about building accountability and support for ourselves. And the underlying tone of that, as you heard, was that psychological safety, that we have to have trust in those that we're learning with and growing with, or it's just not going to happen, right? So it's same thing with fun. Like we don't want to be fun and silly and wear silly glasses unless we feel like we have safety, right? So we want to be careful that we trust people around us, right? And that we have people around us. If we don't have that, that is okay. But let's look around for like-minded people that are growing and building. Because there's obviously a reason you came in and you're curious about this. You're looking for new resources, which is wonderful. I also love to find new resources to support my own professional growth, my own personal growth. And if that means, meeting new people and staying in touch, I'm all over it. That would be an honor. We know, right? The literature suggests our social network is our net worth and our health, right? So it goes back to our own physical health. So, as a doc, we always think about that. So it's important for us to meet other people that are also growing and learning because it actually will feed our own health, right? So it's got so many layers of benefits to it and it's fun. So that's why I think like the surprising facts of neuroscience is some of it is fun. That's really good for us, which is wonderful, like meeting new people and keeping fun in our schedule. Okay. Any last question for us before we sign off from Rebalance? Any last questions? Open the chat, or you could, turn on your camera if you want, either way, whatever you like. Yeah, I will stay in touch. I love that you want to check in once in a while. I love that. I'm open to that. And I'll tell you about the WAG group if you want to dive into this a little bit deeper. Any parting words?
I think it's just the sustainability and keeping in touch
Yeah.
and yeah, just kind of small reminders. I feel like we forget so much and we get caught in things and
Yeah.
I know that's my biggest problem. Like I
Yeah. Like
get
it's
caught
just,
in work and then forget to actually schedule fun.
yes. Yes. What are you gonna do? Anything fun this weekend?
We're actually seeing some friends for dinner tonight, but that was scheduled. So that's how it
Yay!
works.
Good. You did it. Check. See, it doesn't feel good. You're
Yeah.
like, good, I did it. And you did
That's
this and you came
awesome.
on. So thanks for coming on. That's such an
Thank
honor to
you.
meet you. Did you say
Thank
you're
you for
starting a
having
new
me.
job?
I started already 2 weeks ago.
How did it
But yeah,
go?
good memory.
Yeah, I remember you were saying, yeah,
It's
I'll
it's
stop.
great.
I'll, s-
Yeah.
I'll stop recording. So yeah.